What's up, San Diego, and happy Wednesday to everybody out there. 10 in the morning, leading you up to Padres baseball today in the Ecowater SoCal Padres pregame show with Sam Levitt. He's already bearing down on some notes, getting ready for the ball game today as the Padres and A's will play a rubber match from Sacramento coming up at 12:35 p.m. Pacific time. We will have the Ecowater SoCal Padres pregame show at 11:35 a.m. Right here on San Diego. It's number one sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Padres trying to win the series. If they win the series or win the game tonight and they win the series, they will have a 500 road trip between Sacramento and Chicago, which is not that bad in the grand scheme of things, going 500 on the road, as long as you take care of business at home. Last night, obviously a night that a lot of people don't really want to remember too much. It was not a great night for the San Diego Padres. It seemed like whatever could possibly go wrong went wrong last night for the best record in baseball, San Diego Padres. Now, the good news is the Dodgers and the Giants also lost. So when you're looking at your hunt for October this early in the season and you're scoreboard watching, it's okay. Everybody else lost in the division that needed to lose, if you want to look at it from that perspective. But that being said, overall, a performance that, wasn't very great out of the San Diego Padres, starting with the starting pitching. That was Dylan Cease's worst outing of his career, allowing 9 runs in the first 3 innings that he had pitched. And you realized quickly and early in the contest that Dylan Cease was wearing that game. I mean, after and especially since all the runs in the first inning for the Athletics came with 2 outs. They just couldn't get that final out. And when they put up the 6 and then all of a sudden another 3, it was like, all right, buddy's got to wear this one. And on top of that, you mix in the injuries. You had the news before the game about Jackson Merrill with the hamstring, and he had a Baki hamstring, and then they decided to put him on the injured list yesterday. So that's bad news to get the day started. And then throughout the game, the Padres were dropping like flies. Jake Cronenworth had a little flare-up in his ribs after he got hit by a pitch over the weekend in Chicago. That seemed to be the problem, as Mike Schilt alluded to. And we'll hear from Mike Schilt and get updates in the next segment. But he had to leave the game with an injury. And then the biggest deal, obviously, was Fernando. And we all saw that swing that he had. It looked just like what happened when he had the shoulder subluxation. And then all of a sudden people were like, oh, man, this doesn't look very good. And then he exits the game. So we got some better news out of the Padres, at least in the postgame. I mean, it sounded like a lot of the, injuries, especially to Cronenworth and Tatis, were not major injuries. At least that's what they said. I highly anticipated neither of those players being in the lineup today, and neither of those players are. No Fernando today, no Jake Cronenworth today in the Padres lineup. Today's Padres lineup will be the first time that we see Luis Arraez back in the leadoff spot, and he's done a lot better, honestly, in the two-hole than he has in the leadoff spot in the Padres uniform. But today is obviously extenuating circumstances when it comes to trying to just get the last victory in Sacramento because of the injury bug that you have taken on in the last 48 hours. I mean, really, the first 2 games in Sacramento, you just had bad news after bad news after bad news when it comes to the injury front. And then on top of that, not great starting pitching. I mean, Michael King had pretty good stuff on Monday. And with the stuff that he had on Monday, you would think he would have went deeper in the game. A's did a good job, hitting him around a little bit on mistakes across the heart of the plate. But, didn't get good starting pitching yesterday out of Dylan Cease. Had a couple of guys go down. You got put yourself in such a big hole early on in the contest. And, I think with this lineup, no lead is really safe for opposing teams. But when you take Merrill out of it and you take Tatis out of it and you take Jake out of it, and now all of a sudden your lineup's got Oscar Gonzalez in it and already had Yuli Gurriel in it, and it just looks a lot different. It looks a lot different. So that kind of, ability to come back is a little bit different when you're not at full strength. and you got put into a very significant hole at 9-4 in the third by the end of the third inning. So you got to be able to put a stopgap in there. The bullpen did that on Sunday for the Padres. Dylan Cease did not help out in the third inning. He was really all over the place. I mean, you look at Dylan Cease, and he wasn't locating a lot throughout the contest. And then when he did locate, it was over the heart of the plate. So the Padres put their lineup out. Again, they're not making any roster moves. I see a lot of people saying call up Tirso Ornelas. I mean, as great as that would be, you'd have to put somebody on the injured list. And it doesn't sound like Jake Cronenworth or Fernando are going on the injured list, but we'll see maybe tomorrow. I mean, he's not going to be up in time for today anyway. The real interesting storyline will be either if they make a move Thursday or what it happens to be on Friday before the game starts. That's where you're going to look at the roster construction and whether or not, some of these injuries are significant or not. It sounded like Jake Cronenworth was going to argue to try to play today, but as has gone all season for the Padres, they are erring on the side of caution with all of their players, and they should. When you have veteran players that you're paying a lot of money to and guys that need to perform that are in their 30s, those are going to be players that you want playing the best at the end of the season. So what that tells me about today's game, again, we got the lineup. Arise is batting leadoff. Xander's batting 2. Xander's hitting the ball really hard, by the way. Manny Machado in the 3 spot. Cleanup is Gavin Sheets. Oscar Gonzalez is batting 5th. Jose Iglesias is batting 6th. Jason Hayward's batting 7th. Brandon Lockridge batting 8th. And Martin Maldonado batting 9th. For everybody that's panicking about the potential injuries and everything like that. Now, whether or not these guys have to go to the IL or not will remain to be seen. You'll probably find out either Thursday or Friday. Today was never going to be a day in which they make those moves. They were going to probably be off, especially with an off day tomorrow. Give these guys opportunities to rest up. But what this tells me, this is what building a culture, and this is what everything that you did during the offseason, and this is what everything you did in terms of spring training, and this is really when you get the grit squad. When you want to go out there and say you have the grit squad, and you tell about your grit squad and everything's, we got a gritty team. This is where gritty teams kick ass. When guys that are good are banged up, the next guy's going to jump in and perform. That comes from the culture they've created. That comes from the environment. That comes from the foundation they've laid. I mean, I can use a bunch of different cliches, but what they've been telling us in spring training and what I talked about yesterday, I think they've started to show it with how well they've played the first couple of games, and now 12 games into the season. This is where you really show the grit squad. Is when you don't have Fernando, and you don't have Jackson Merrill, and you don't have Jake Cronenworth. And we'll see what happens when we got Manny and Bogaerts and those. This is where you see it. This is where you see it. Because if this team is as gritty as they say they are, and if they are talk about all the right things like in spring training and the camaraderie they have and the tight-knit group that they are and everything like that, that's all great. This is where it shows in moments like this, in games like this. Struggled yesterday, lost some players to injury. They're not going to play. Quick turnaround, got to get after it and go into the off day with a victory. So that's where you see the grit. That's where you see the culture. That's where you put all of those sports cliches together and you show the signs of leadership is when guys go down and the next man's got to step up. Guys like Xander and Machado right now being those leaders that are still healthy. Guys like Arise now moving into the leadoff spot. Guys like, Jose Iglesias getting an opportunity now. Oscar Gonzalez just getting called back up from AAA El Paso. I mean, this is a great time as ever for Jason Hayward to go out there and have a good game. And we'll talk more about Hayward and Yuli Gurriel. I mean, good for Yuli last night. I thought last night was absolute you know, um, absolute dire for Yuli Gurriel. It was bedlam for him last night. They put him in the lineup. They put him defensively in the game. He's going against the left-hander that doesn't throw high velo. And if he wasn't going to get a hit last night, he was never going to get a hit. He still ended up going 1 for 5. He had the hustle play, though, to score in the first inning. You like to see the hustle play. He hit that ball hard off of Springs on that knock to the gap to get the game going, and his double, which is good. But then you saw, again, Yuli Gurriel after the fact. I mean, good for Yuli. I want him to be successful because it makes the Padres better. But right now, I mean, again, it wasn't that great of a performance out of him. You know, Hayward had to come in because of Fernando. He went 0 for 2 at the dish. He's hitting 125 right now. I mean, he's another player. Those two in particular need to step up, and today is a good opportunity for a guy like Jason Hayward to step up. We got a lot to talk about still with this Padres team. We're leading you up to the Ecowater SoCal Padres pregame show. Earlier Padres game today. It's a 12:35 start in Sacramento, which means Sam Levitt's on at 11:35. I think I'm going to get him in here a little bit in the 10 o'clock hour to talk some baseball about the state of the Padres at about 10:30. But when we come back, we got to get you updated on everything that came out of the clubhouse. Everything that Mike Schultz said, what we got from the players. Let's get you updated on where everybody stands in terms of injuries before we get you ready for more Padres baseball. That's coming up next on the Braden Surprenant Show on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. 10:18. Getting you ready for Padres baseball coming up at 12:35 p.m. Pacific time. A little lunchtime Padres today up in Sacramento. Final game of the three-game series against the A's. Padres trying to have a 500 road trip by getting a victory today against... I like to set up the team with like the city name, right? And it's been driving me nuts the whole time that we have to don't call it Sacramento. Well, then don't move there, and we won't call you Sacramento. The A's. It is so dumb. The A's. At least when other teams had to change their name and everything like that, you can still say their city name. The A's. How dumb is it, by the way? I'm going to go off a tangent because the A's are driving me nuts with how dumb this stuff is. Speaking of how dumb it is, and I thought, we talked with George Sandoval yesterday, obviously account executive here in San Diego. It's probably a great place to watch a game for a fan. And look, I know the players get a lot of great things for being a major league player. I mean, a lot of people would, for how much they get paid. A lot of the normal people us, working folks out there would be like, I'll do whatever for that kind of money. I understand that, but from like an image standpoint, like we're talking about like almost like NFL defend, like protect the shield, right? You want to have like this. If you're going to be a major sports league, you want to be like a major player. Like, how dumb was it? And it's not a Padres thing. It's like for the A's. How dumb is it that Oscar Gonzalez, who shows up late to the game because they're trying to get him from El Paso last minute, right, for this roster move, which is a pain already, that since the clubhouses are in the outfield behind the fence, he has like run onto the field like the clubby. It's so dumb. So dumb. I think Cronenworth got hurt, right? So he has to exit the game. It's not like he goes into the clubhouse down below. He'll walk out to the outfield like it's a spring training game. I mean, really? Are you kidding me? So dumb. Oscar Gonzalez goes to any other. We're in any other city. San Diego, the Padres are in any other city. Major league city. Except for maybe down in Tampa. I don't know what that situation's like. I haven't watched a lot of Rays games at Steinbrenner Spring Training Complex. Any other city, he like pops his head up in the dugout, and Don and Mud are like, "Hey, look, Oscar's here. Hey, look, hey, he made it. Great." Not like running in from the outfield like he's a bullpen piece. Sure played Hell's Bells for him. Play a little intro for the relief pitcher. Zach, I was at the game the last two nights. It was a hoot. But definitely ready for my next game at Petco. Yeah, how minor league was it, Zach? I mean, it's just minor league. They're going to play there for multiple years. I don't know how the Players Association after this year is going to be like, okay with this. Hey, man, we got guys running in from the clubhouse. If they have to go to the bathroom, they have to run outside the fence. I mean, it looks like a college baseball game. Last night looked like a Tuesday night in college baseball. It looked like a Sac State game last night with the scoring and the antics and the guys coming in late. And it's just chaos. I can't believe they're going to continue to do this. 3 years. They're going to do this for 3 years. There's no way the Players Association is going to be cool with this. Hey, move your ass back to Sacramento or back to Oakland where you came from. That's assuming they can't, everything's on schedule in Vegas, which it's not. Just wait for that deal to fall through. Then where are they going to go? It's embarrassing. And I feel bad. I mean, the A's have a pretty solid team. I mean, they're not, the bold prediction at the beginning of the year is whether or not the A's were going to make the playoffs. I mean, they have a decent team. The team's it's not as terrible as they've been over the last couple of years. They went and got Severino. They've made a couple of moves. They spent some money. I mean, the team is not bad. Like, you feel bad for some of those players. I mean, they have to play all their home games there. After today, we don't have to worry about that place ever again. A lot of teams in the AL West have to go there multiple times. We're done. And then we don't have to go there until maybe 2027. If they're there for 3 years, then you got to see them one more time in 2027. We don't have to go there. But I guess we got to go to Tampa next year. Maybe, but they said that the Trop should be back. We'll see. But they got a bandbox out there. It's like a college baseball game. It's just, the lighting's off. It's crazy. I can't believe they're playing games there. Anyway, 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. If you want to join in the show, give us a phone call. We really appreciate it. I do want to get some updates on the Padres players. And yesterday just felt like it just wasn't a good day. It just was, from start to finish, yesterday just was like low blow punch, gut punch, hit in the lower extremity. I mean, it just was not fun all day. And the day started with the whole, like, yesterday was, or 2 days ago was, it's got a precautionary, it's got a Baki hamstring. I've never heard the term Baki hamstring, but he had a Baki hamstring, err on the side of caution. Yesterday, put on the IL. Jackson Merrill on the IL. Here's what Mike Schilt had to say about Jackson.
Once we realized we weren't in that gray area anymore, the gray area being like day-to-day, try to figure it out, day off coming up. But the good news is, at the moment, it doesn't appear to be anything overly serious. There wasn't a traumatic effect that caused it. It was some tightness that clearly is real, and he's working really diligently, as you would expect, to get treatment. We just felt like it was going to be every bit or close to the 10 days, right at that mark. And instead of playing, shorter, and also trying to, not that we would force it, just go ahead and get it done and presents an opportunity for Gonzo.
How much did it being this time of the season, play into making it obvious that this was the right time?
With Jackson?
Yeah, given how long there's still to go and how much.
Yeah, I think we were ahead of it yesterday, and then like I said, still some things going on that, making sure of. Relative time of the year, I mean, yeah, we're going to be a little more cautious this time of year. That's for sure.
Music in the background is going to be going. It's fired up. I guess the pregame music's good in Sacramento. All right. Hamstrings, they're a nagging injury. They take a long time to heal. I don't think it's to the extent of a injury in which something popped and then all of a sudden, they got some serious problems. I mean, you would have seen it in one of the games. I have, had some injuries with the hamstring that don't last as long, but could be, get re-injured. So I don't mind the precautionary tale. I don't think anything was severely done. If it's going to take about 10 minutes or 10 days, might as well put them on the injured list. Again, they're erring on the side of caution. I don't think you need to worry about it too much with Jackson Merrill and his hamstring. So he misses the next 7 games. You play Colorado. You shouldn't need him against Colorado. Even though Colorado really has the Padres number, they do. Got to say. We'll see about that over the weekend, but I think you can survive. And again, it's a big reason why it's so great to get off to a good start. You can make sure that guys aren't pushing it too hard early in the year. Not saying coasting, but making sure there's not anything that would push somebody into having a more significant injury. So you lose Jackson for the next 10 days. Next 7 games. It was a bad way to start the day. And then jump out to a 3-0 lead, which seems like a great thing. And then with 2 outs, the A's put up 6 runs and go up 6-3. And then as the game progresses, you just start losing players. You lost Jake Cronenworth. He hit one to second base. He immediately fell to the ground in pain within, it sounds like it's around his ribs. Rib injuries are extremely painful. If you have ever hurt your rib in any sort of way, that injury, that does not feel good, and that does not feel good for a very long time. Whether or not that is a injury for Jake, I mean, he sounded like he was feeling better and he wanted to fight to get back in the lineup. I mean, you can play with rib injuries. Sometimes you get micro tears when you get hit there. There's a lot of different things that you could do besides a cracked rib or whatever. Like, I mean, I had the bruised rib for weeks. I mean, it hurt to breathe. He got drilled in the midsection over the weekend. That probably hurts way more. So he ends up leaving the game as he aggravated that yesterday. And then you saw Tatis with the swing, and it looked like he took his hand off the bat, right? It was the one-handed swing that we've seen him do in the past. It looked a lot of, and it was on a surgically repaired shoulder. I think it made everybody freak out. He then, swung at the next pitch and then worked a walk and then he ended up saying that he felt better and it wasn't that bad. But, with everything with his shoulder, you would have to be a little bit more cautious with Fernando. Neither of them are in the lineup, but we do have an update for you from Mike Schilt from last night, which we will get to when we come back. We will also be joined by Sam Levitt as the Braden Surprenant show continues on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Baseball coverage on 97 through the Fan is presented by T-Mobile. Head to T-Mobile.com and get a great deal on an iPhone 16 Pro. Braden Surprenant Show as we lead you up to the Ecowater SoCal Padres pregame show with Sam Levitt. We'll get to Sam here in just a second. Talk a little Padres baseball with him to finish up the first hour. But we do want to give you the latest update that we have on Fernando Tatis Jr. and Jake Cronenworth. Here's Mike Schiltz after the game last night, talking about the injuries of those two particular players.
Mike, what can you tell us about Fernando Tatis?
He's a really good player. He's one of the best players in our league, and I love having him on our club. But he did go out. Just a little discomfort on the slide at third. Checking out medically, everything seems to be intact and good shape and strength good, and he's not overly concerned. So we erred on the side of caution tonight, and we'll evaluate it.
Where is that?
His shoulder.
Shoulder. He had winced an early swing. He had winced after taking an early swing. Do you know anything about that? Have it starting there? Or?
I know that when he slid into third is when he experienced some discomfort.
What's going on with Jake?
Jake, some more cramping from 2 days ago from getting hit in the ribs. And it just, like I said, cramped up on him and just cramped and just like, we've all cramped. And, again, not overly concerned. Clearly Jake had to come out, but err on the side of caution and evaluate tomorrow.
Would there be any timeline right now on Fernando, or is that kind of still up in the air in terms of figuring out?
I think it's day to day.
The slide, was that the slide in the first inning or in the third base? I'm trying to remember specifically.
That was a slide later.
Okay.
Yeah.
He, obviously, like you've say winners find solutions. Like what is this? What does this kind of challenge present to you guys if either of these guys miss time, knowing that Jackson's on the IL already?
It means that what I'm confident will happen. Guys will step up and perform. We got a good club. We got a lot of good parts to it. We got guys that are more than capable of showing tomorrow and helping us win a Major League Baseball game.
Given that Fernando has had surgery before, do you expect to maybe err on the side of caution with him?
I think we'll definitely be on the side of caution with Tim and Jake, just making sure.
And that's been the philosophy of the Padres early on this season. I've said it multiple times on the show. When do you need these players healthy? April or October? Somebody was like, what about all the time? Well, that's not possible. So you get to pick. I'd rather have him healthy in October than anything else. So err on the side of caution. We'll see. Again, today it was going to be a quick turnaround. They weren't going to make any roster moves. Getting somebody up to Sacramento from El Paso or wherever the Chihuahuas were playing late at night and early in the morning, they would never make it in time for the game. It's all hands on deck today. And that's what the lineup is if you look at it. Happy birthday to Luis Ariz batting leadoff. Bogarts, Machado, Sheets, Gonzalez, Iglesias, Hayward, Lockridge, Maldonado with Randy Vasquez on the hill. And we're going to get a full preview with the Ecowater SoCal Padres pregame show. But since he was already here, we get the pregame show with Sam Levitt talking Padres baseball. Sam, good morning to you. Like the hat. Little company man action there with the Odyssey hat.
Thank you. Just want to represent the company at all times the best I can. But good morning, Braden. Good morning, Adam. Still early for me.
Late night last night. Huh?
Yes, it was. I don't know. Got out of here somewhere after the 10 p.m. hour. But good to be with you on this Wednesday morning.
Let's talk about the Padres in terms of lack of depth is what the main concern was for a lot of national pundits when it comes to the Padres. You look at the lineup today, would show the lack of depth, but you got a lot of veterans in that order. And when I talked about in the opening segment, when it comes to guys being down, when you have that grit squad mentality, today's a big day, I think, to really see the Padres grit.
Yeah, look, I think for today, it's going to sort of be what it is, right? I mean, you're going to assume you're without Fernando for the whole game today, without Jake for the whole game today, and you're going to have guys step up and step into different roles. I mean, Gavin Sheets batting in the number 4 spot, the cleanup spot today, DHing, probably not what you thought you were going to see when yesterday began. Oscar Gonzalez in right field, Iglesias at second, Lockridge in center. So you're right, Braden. I mean, look, good teams find ways, right? In the words of Mike Schilt, you got to be elite adjusters, right? Winners find solutions. So they're going to have to do that today. We'll see what the update is tomorrow and into Friday on Fernando and Jake. And if either of those guys will go on the IL, certainly I think with Jake, it doesn't sound like anything too serious. He got hit in the ribs on a kind of a gnarly hit by pitch a couple of days ago. So I'm not all that surprised that he's feeling effects of that. With Fernando, look, I'll be honest with you. It's a little concerning. It's the same shoulder that he had surgically repaired with the labrum back in September of 2022. And we know this is something that he's dealt with before, with this shoulder being an issue and being an issue on swings. So I think we'd be lying here if we sat here this morning and said it's just no concern at all. I'm not super thrilled that he's having some sort of issue with it again, and obviously the question now will be the severity of it. But back to your point, Braden, at least today it's going to be about guys stepping up, doing some good things, and you look at the very top of the lineup with Arise, Bogarts, and Machado, and one of the reasons the Padres are 9-3 is because their core guys have played really well so far, and those guys are going to have to continue to play well.
I continue to be an advocate for Xander Bogaerts and trying to be the number one supporter of Xander for all sorts of reasons. I mean, so many Padres fans are just on him for his contract that he didn't give himself. He signed the contract that the Padres had offered him. He looks like he's putting up the numbers in terms of exit velo. He's hitting the ball a lot harder this year.
Yeah.
I think you're finally starting to see a healthy Xander Bogaerts, even though it's early on in the season. It looks like he might have an opportunity to put up a pretty good year.
Yeah, you're right. The StatCast numbers on how he's hitting the ball are pretty good. And look, I'm with you. I say it, with no reservation. I root for Xander Bogaerts. I think he's a really good guy. I think he's a really good presence inside that clubhouse.
You get to deal with him a lot down there. He's such a pro, man.
He's a real pro.
How easily approachable is he compared to most of the players? Right?
Extremely. He is a pro, an absolute pro. That's a great word to use for him. He's won a couple of World Series. He's been on really, really good teams. He's had postseason success. Look, I root hard for him because I think we've yet to see the best of Xander, and I'm hoping that 2025 brings that. It's still early, and he's been pretty good so far at the plate. Defensively, maybe a little bit shakier as far as the range and things like that. But you know what? I think at shortstop for him at this age, it's, hey, play a solid enough shortstop, and I think that'll be okay. Offensively, I just want to see him be more like the Xander that we saw in Boston. And look, we've seen some stretches of it. You remember when he first got here in 23, he was really good, and then he starts dealing with the wrist issue. And then last year, he's starting to get it going. He has the shoulder injury. He's had spurts of it, but we have not seen it for an extended period of time. So he's off to a pretty nice start. And I hope he's able to build on it and continue it, because I hope we've yet to see the best of Xander for an extended stretch as a Padre. And I do think from a clubhouse perspective, a personality perspective, I think he's a really, really good presence. And to me, at least with my relationship, with him, to me, he's a very easy guy to root for. So I'm hoping he puts together a really nice full year, a healthy year.
No, people, criticize his shortstop play. I mean, I think we got spoiled a little bit with guys like Fernando at the beginning of his career making elaborate plays that people just assume that's what all shortstops make. I think the philosophy for a lot of teams is, if you make the elaborate play, that's great, but we need you to make the routine plays, and he makes, the routine plays at shortstop.
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, yes, I'm with you. We also may have got a little bit spoiled by Ha-Seong Kim, who was such a good defender all over the place, and at shortstop, certainly. So, look, I think Xander is good at shortstop. I think he's fine there right now on this team, and I'm fine with it. I know, and I've seen it on social media, probably like you have, with fans already clamoring for him to move back to second base and things like that. And I understand at times the range isn't what a Kim's was.
Right.
There are guys who would probably have a little bit better range there. I understand that, and that's a fair critique. I think for right now with this team, considering Xander, what you need from him, his comfort level at shortstop, I'm perfectly okay with him there right now.
The other, kind of veteran players that, not necessarily off to great starts, that actually have way shorter of a leash And Xander's going to be here for a long time, and whether or not he plays shortstop his entire career remains to be seen. He probably won't. He'll probably end up moving somewhere else when Leo shows up. But when you look at some of the veteran guys that they brought in, they gave Hayward $1 million, and then the Yuli Gurriel situation has always been a major question mark for a lot of fans. He got a hit last night, but how much, when you're a contending team, how much longer do you think some of these players are going to hang around with the Padres? Because when we have these conversations, it's always, well, how are you going to replace them? And the Padres have a lot of answers down in AAA of players that have been playing well in AAA. You saw them play in spring training really well. There was a lot of difficult decisions because of how great players were playing. So how do you see this process playing out for the Padres in terms of how long they might hang out with some of these guys?
Well, a few things. You have a good example right now of somebody like an Oscar Gonzalez who's going to have a nice opportunity to come up here and prove himself. And if he hits, then he can force his way onto this roster and make the decision to have to send him back down to AAA when a Jackson Merrill comes back, let's say in a week and a half or so, to make it really, really difficult. So somebody like Gonzalez is going to have a big opportunity next handful of days to prove what he can do, because I would assume he's going to get in there quite a bit over the course of the next week and a half. To me, you look at guys like Hayward, guys like Gurriel, I think about two things. Number one, as long as this team continues to win at a pretty regular rate, I would assume status quo is more likely. I would also say this: there is a pretty good track record, I think, when you look at the Padres and these veteran type players, and maybe I'm thinking a little bit too much into the Nelson Cruz and Matt Carpenter seasons, right, where they stuck around probably a little bit longer than what you would have expected based on their performance, right? And Carpenter was a little bit different because he was on a much bigger contract, and then we had that whole weird situation with him where he was on the roster but like never would get into a game.
Right.
So that was a little bit different, but to me, and this is part of the reason why during spring training I kept saying I wasn't going to be surprised if somebody like Gurriel specifically was on this team, they tend to ride with this front office, tends to ride with the veterans probably a little bit longer than what a fan would like or anticipate. So
I think Rougned Odor is more of like a comp.
It's another really good example.
You were watching Rougned Odor that season just struggle. Then he hit the bomb against Washington,
and
it bought him an extra 3 weeks. Right. And I was fully anticipating that happening this week, where Yuli hits a bomb in Sacramento, and I was like, oh, well, he's going to be on the team for the next 3 weeks. He had a nice hit yesterday, and he obviously looks like he still has a little bit, but I just don't know how much longer you can continue to do that when you got Connor Joe and Eggy Rosario and Oscar Gonzalez, who you had to bring up, that are right there in AAA. Eggy Rosario played center field yesterday or today for the Chihuahuas. I think it was yesterday. You think there's any significance to that?
I would. I mean, it seems odd to me that all of a sudden Eggy, who's barely played left, now he's playing center. I would think so, Braden. I think it's a really good point.
Does Eggy Rosario bring more for you into a left-handed pitching lineup than a guy like Brandon Lockridge, or they might just need extra now with the way the injuries are?
Right. Well, if Fernando ends up going on the IL, then you're going to need more guys, obviously. Look, I like Eggy against left-handers. I think he's somebody that you can pencil in against lefties and find a spot for him in your lineup. Here's another thing, just even beyond the depth at AAA. I was thinking about this yesterday against left-handed pitchers. I mean, Jose Iglesias has barely played so far, and he's a really good offensive player, and he gives you a lot defensively as well. I mean, I would assume at some point you're probably going to want Iglesias to get more at-bats than what he's been getting, right? Especially if somebody like Gurriel continues to struggle. Now, would they take Iglesias and put him at DH when they're fully healthy? I don't know. But I would assume maybe it's a possibility, because to me, he's a good offensive player. I mean, to me, I want more at-bats for somebody like Jose Iglesias than what he's currently getting.
100%.
So we'll see. Look, it has not been great for Gurriel. It's also not been a zero offensively. Hasn't been great with Hayward, but I would lean more on Braden that they're going to ride this out quite a bit longer than I'm sure some fans would anticipate or want, even if those guys aren't super productive, because I think there's a bit of a track record with that and this front office.
Talking with Sam Levitt here on the Braden Surprenant Show. He will be on at about 11:35 for the Ecowater SoCal Padres pregame show to get you all the news and notes leading up to first pitch for Padres baseball against the Athletics. That's been driving me nuts all week. I like dropping the city name. And I can't call them by the city name, and I cannot wait to get out of Sacramento. You're a guy that's broadcasting the minor leagues, and there's a love for the minor leagues and that little Americana that you get with minor league baseball. There's nothing really like it anywhere else in the world. But at the major league level, I mean, you're watching these games in Sacramento.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's great for the fans. Like, we had George Sandoval on yesterday, and he talked about how cool of an experience it was. I'm sure it's great for the fans. It just looks so Mickey Mouse to me when you got Oscar Gonzalez running in from the outfield because he just showed up, which is common in baseball. But I can't imagine, the Players Association being stoked about this for the next 3 years.
Yeah, look, you know me, I love a minor league baseball park. But with that said, even watching the games or seeing them on TV as we're here in the studio, I'm obviously not there.
It looks like a spring training.
Yeah, it doesn't look like a major league park. And look, for baseball fans in Sacramento, good for them. I'm not sure how much those fans are bought into the Athletics themselves, considering the A's don't even want to call themselves the Sacramento A's.
And we talked about that. We talked about that yesterday. Like, if a team came here or a team came to your city,
people in San Diego would hate that.
Right. But they could, like, think about it from like an NFL perspective. Right. Because the city wants an NFL team back. And if an NFL team came back, but only for 3 years, and they said we refuse to call ourselves the San Diego whatever,
would you be insulted?
I would be like, all right, well, screw you guys. Like, if I go, I'm going to be repping the other team.
Yeah, I mean, I don't fully understand why you just wouldn't take on their name for a few years. To me, whatever. But it doesn't seem like a Major League Baseball game, even when you're looking at it on TV, and that's because it's not the same. I mean, I talked about it with Tony yesterday for a while. Even some of the elements there are different, right? You have lights that are a lot lower. The field is not as well lit as a major league field. It looks like
Moneyball dramatic lighting in a movie.
There are some real things that come along with playing in a much smaller stadium. I mean, look, I remember, in Amarillo and Corpus Christi, like, there would be times, I remember when we opened up the stadium in Amarillo in 2019, number one, there just aren't as many lights. Okay. So the place, and this was pretty consistent in all of minor league baseball, you would have parks where you might have like sort of like a dark spot almost in the outfield because it's just not the same. I mean, It's not the same infrastructure. It's not the same amount of lights. Okay. Literally the light banks aren't as big. It happens, right? And I remember when we opened up that stadium in Amarillo, literally they went with the outfielders to kind of like assess where the dark spots were because it was a brand new stadium, right? So these things happen where the lights aren't perfect. The lights are also a lot lower. Remember, the stadium's not as big. So the lights are much more in your outfielders' faces, in their eyes. So there are times a day where that can be difficult. So I'm with you. It doesn't have a major league feel. To the Padres' credit, everybody there over the last couple of days has said all the right things. I don't think anybody wants to throw it under the bus. And I also, I think we should be clear. It's not the fault of anybody in Sacramento.
No,
it's not the fault of anybody working at the ballpark that's working hard, doing their best, not only to put on a Major League Baseball game in a AAA facility, but also remember they're playing a AAA season while that's Major League season is going on, which, by the way, for people that run that park, the grounds crew, anybody associated with that stadium,
they go to a game every day.
That is hard.
There's not an off day at that building. They're playing every single day.
There are people that work in that stadium. I don't know anybody that works there, but I can guarantee that are in for just a hellish next 5-6 months, because that's an unbelievable undertaking to basically play every day.
I got people in the chat saying, like, what, do I need fireworks and all these distractions to watch baseball? No, I'm not saying that. I said it's great for the fans. It's probably great for the fans. But watching it on TV, it doesn't look like big league ball, and the players are not, super stoked about it. I just find it's interesting. I'd love to go up there and watch. Look, I think it'd be really cool to see Major League Baseball that close.
Yeah, for visiting teams, the Padres spend a few days there and are going to get out.
Right.
If I'm an A's player, and again, I haven't talked to any of those guys about it, but mean, not only are you there for 80+ games this year, but you're looking at the next 3 years there.
Yes.
I mean, that's a lot of time to spend in a facility that is not really made for Major League Baseball. But I guess look, you still got guys on big deals there, Severino, Rooker. I mean, guys that have signed up there. So yeah, there are plenty of guys making plenty of money still.
What do you want to see out of Vasquez today?
I want more like the first outing where he went 6 scoreless. And look, the Padres starting pitching has not been great this last turn through the rotation. So that's in my keys to the game. I just wrote it down. Getting a better start today, because even though the bullpen's been great, Braden, they're covering a lot of innings.
And that happened.
A lot of innings. It's not a particularly, even though they've been great, a particularly sustainable way to
No. We learned that.
to operate.
We learned
they
that.
need some better starting pitching.
We learned that in 2019 when the bullpen picked up pace for the Nick Margaviches of the world, and the Padres were off to a hot start, and it was like, oh, you can't keep this up with how many times Craig Stammen is coming out of the bullpen right now.
And they've been awesome.
Fell apart. So today's the anniversary of the no-hitter in Padres history with Joe Musgrove. I saw that. Mrs. Musgrove posted that on her Instagram.
And by the way, even though we focused on a lot of like kind of the negative here, Padres still began today best record in baseball.
That's right.
But just stay afloat, keep it going. Maybe the injuries won't be as bad as maybe they appear.
Grit Squad gets a win today, a 500 road trip. You'll take that.
10-3.
Seven games above 500.
They're fine.
That's Sam Levitt. I'm Braden Surprenant. I'll be back in the next hour. Sam will be back at 11:35 on the Ecowater SoCal Padres pregame show.
No balls in one strike. The big right-hander ready and delivers. Swing and a ground ball to shortstop. Kim has it. Friendly hop. Throw to first. That is a no-hitter, and that is history. Joe Musgrove with the first no-hitter in Padre history. April 9th, 2021 at Globe Life Field in Arlington, Texas. The kid comes home, and he gets it done.
Joe Musgrove, anniversary of his no-hitter today, April 9th. That was when still really couldn't go to the ballpark in certain places, and that was what, 2021. We had spring football. That was like a Friday night, and we had doing the spring football season. We had a high school football game that night. But what a great moment for him. This is the anniversary of that. So maybe Vasquez goes out there and repeats history today, huh? Any takers? No? Oh, all right, fine. We have some interesting news and notes throughout Major League Baseball today, and we're going to get to a lot of different things. I'm Braden Surprenant. This is the Braden Surprenant Show. We're going up to about 11:30 today, so only a couple more segments left. Happy birthday to Katie's kid in the chat. Happy birthday to them. And also, happy birthday to Luis Arraez. It's Arraez's birthday today. So the birthday boy will step into the batter's box today for the first batter of Padres and A's, and it will be the lineup of Luis Arraez, followed by Xander Bogaerts, and then Manny Machado. If I can pull up the lineup real quick. I had it for a second. Arraez, Bogaerts, Machado, Sheets, Gonzalez, Iglesias, Hayward, Lockridge, Maldonado, and your starting pitcher is Vasquez. Happy 16th birthday to Katie's son. Anyway, how about St. Louis and Pittsburgh today? There's a couple things I want to mention about this, and then we'll get more into the Padres. The St. Louis Cardinals and the Pittsburgh Pirates are in the top half of the seventh inning. It's a scoreless game, and Eric Fetty has gone 6 innings. He has allowed 4 leadoff batters on base via a walk, and he has also allowed another leadoff batter on via an error. He has allowed 5 runners to reach base today. He has not allowed a hit. He is not allowed to run, and he has 4 walks, 2 strikeouts. Eric Fetty has a no-hitter through 6, and he's allowed 5 of the 6 leadoff hitters he has faced to reach base safely. 4 walks, all 2 leadoff guys, and Arenado had a fielding error that led a player to reach. Yeah, exactly. Golden Glove third baseman. Eliminating the perfect game. It doesn't really matter. They had 4 walks, too. Mitch Keller on the other side for the Pirates, 6 2/3, no runs, 3 hits, no walks, 4 strikeouts. I wonder how many people are watching this game live in attendance. If Eric Fetty throws a no-hitter and nobody's there, does it make a sound? You said the same thing about Paul Skeens yesterday. Took Fetty out. I could see that. I mean, pitched well. I mean, at this point, what are you really going for a no-hitter for? I mean, the guy's put runners on. It's not like he's been dominant. Yesterday, the Pirates and the Cardinals played, and Paul Skeens was on the hill. You would think that would drive some attendance to the ball field in Pittsburgh, to PNC Park. They got the most beautiful stadium in all of baseball, they say all the time, at PNC Park. Paul Skeens, he pitched in front of 82,000 people yesterday. It was the announced attendance. 8,200. Sorry, yeah, 82,000. That's insane. 8,200 people yesterday. 82,000 would be a record. No stadium's that big in Major League Baseball. 8291 was the announced attendance yesterday. 38 degrees, partly cloudy. 13-mile-an-hour winds. I mean, so it was cold, but it's Paul Skeens on a Tuesday night against the Cardinals. I mean, you couldn't get more than 8,200 fans at the game? I mean, that's insane. There's probably more fans there today. It looks like a little bit warmer for the Cardinals and Pirates game. They're showing the highlights now. I mean, Arenado looks freezing at third base. I give them that. It is cold, but they're from Pittsburgh. Like, would I go? No, I'm from San Diego. I don't like cold weather. They live there. They understand what the weather's like. I mean, I feel like 38 degrees and sunny is not a big deal for people that live in Pittsburgh. I mean, how many people do you know? I'm asking San Diegans out there. How many people do you know that come from cold weather places that always want to brag about how much, oh, well, you know, this is nice. I love this cold weather. How many of those people you know? A lot. I know a lot. I know people that are from San Diego that go on to go to college somewhere else where it's cold, and they come back going like, oh yeah, well, you know, I lived in Pullman, so this is nothing, you know, 45-degree weather is nothing. Pirates just announced that everyone with an MLB account in attendance tonight gets 2 free tickets to a future home game. Big news for the very, very few braving the cold last night. Hilarious. 8,200 fans, Abe. Misspoke at the beginning. 8,200 fans at the game yesterday. Well, it was cold. Yeah, if it's 38 degrees outside in San Diego, I could see 8,200 people only showing up to Petco Park. But even then, I think a lot of people would show up. But when I have to listen to all these people from back east and all these people in the Midwest that talk about how much they love the cold and how much they can embrace the cold. Oh, yeah, well, that's just nothing. You guys are soft out there in San Diego. Can't handle a little cold. 8,200 to watch Paul Skeens pitch. Who can't handle the cold now, Pittsburgh? I thought you guys were tough. You guys always brag about how tough you are in Pittsburgh. 8,200 fans to watch Paul Skeens? What a joke. That's embarrassing. There's no way that guy stays in Pittsburgh. There's no way. I mean, absolutely no way that guy stays in Pittsburgh. He will be on a major market team so soon. I mean, 8,200 people. I love San Diego because of the weather. It's great. I mean, I do not want to go to any cold places. When I was in Texas and it was like 20 degrees or less, not fun. I got used to some of the weather. Had to play, had to go deal with, you know, working in cold weather for sporting events. You deal with it. But the people from these places all the time brag about how much, like, oh, the cold weather. We love the cold weather. This is nothing. This is the 38. It's balmy. A nice day in the spring in Pittsburgh. Apparently not. Apparently not to watch Paul Skeens. I don't know how they keep him. I mean, they can't even get people to go to these games. Crazy to me. 833-288-0973. 833-288-0973. We do want to get to Mike and Ramona. Mike was actually at one of the Padre games this week in Sacramento. Kind of give us the insight on the experience. And again, people were giving me crap in the chat about me dogging. It's embarrassing to Major League Baseball they're playing in a minor league stadium. It's an embarrassing thing. It's probably great to watch as a fan. I mean, if you had the Padres play anybody in Major League Baseball at one of the local college stadiums and you're up that close, you'd be like, this is the greatest thing ever. But from the perspective of the metrics and embarrassing the brand and the product and the players having to go to the clubhouse outside the field, it's embarrassing. But I'm sure it was great for the fans. Let's get out to Mike and Ramona. Mike, you're on the Braden Surprenant Show. What's going on, man?
Hey, Braden. Good. Yeah, we went Monday because I live in Ramona, a.k.a. Sergeant Major Boom. But, yeah, I was born and raised in Sacramento, so I had to be there for the first game ever for the Padres. And just, okay, so
did you drive up there or did you fly up there?
No, bro. I flew up there, rented a car.
Nice.
My mom lives by Sac State, which is a 20-minute drive from Sutter Park. But I got they got these parking lots, different colors, right? So I go online. The black lot was the most, $40. I went to the gold lot for $35. Well, you pull in, there's no signs directing you to where these magical colored lots are, okay? So, and you ask the security guards, and they're like mall cops. None of them knew, I don't know. And so we drove around for 20 minutes, finally found the gold lot, parked there, and it was great. It was like 2 rows from the stadium. Something that was real irritating, like the first 3 innings, the scoreboard, like when we were up, let's say like Jake's up, the middle of the scoreboard, it's got a picture of Jake. To the right third is all about Severino. To the left third, it's the A's lineup. Now I could see if the A's were up, 1 through 9.
Right.
But when the Padres were up, the A's lineup remained up instead of the Padres. So after about the 3rd inning, they finally figured that out. The security, it was weird. You go through a metal detector, but you don't take your keys or wallet or phone or anything out. So those are like nil. But what was kind of weird is there are all these Sacramento Police Department officers there with guns, with their Glocks. Never seen that at a ball game before, armed security officers. And then the other security officers were the rent-a-cop type. But on the plus, it was like Field of Dreams. I mean, I'm sitting on the right field line between first and Tatis. And like when Jake threw the ball away on that could have been double play ball, it was like we were right behind Jake, or Arise would take a catch at first. I mean, you're right there. It's like Field of Dreams. There's not a bad seat in the house. Basically, it's one deck, except for the suites. So I'd recommend it to anybody if you're in that area to go to a game, regardless of who's playing there. It was a very unique, beautiful experience. But man, it's going to be hot in the summer there, July and August.
How much for the tickets?
Well, that's something else. Like Ticketmaster, I was 2 rows from the right field line, like I said, between Arise and Tatis. And I got them on SeatGeek for $110 a ticket.
Okay.
And Ticketmaster was like $180. So you got to surf because the season ticket holders, they might sell them on SeatGeek and not Ticketmaster. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah. And the berm looked kind of cool too, like the grass area. I mean, that's very spring training-esque.
There's something else. The grass area, those seats are like $50, and they're some of the best seats in the house. And like whenever Fernando, after he warmed up, would throw a ball, it would always be in the grass area because there was like that screen all the way to the right field foul line. So Fernando would throw the balls continually to the grass area.
Oh, that's super cool. Well, what was the last thing I want to ask you, since you have experience, being from Sacramento, with your trip up there, how did you think the vibe of Sacramento was in terms of supporting the Athletics? Do you think there's some animosity, the fact that they don't want to use Sacramento as their name? Like when you were up there, did you know, if you didn't know the A's were playing there, walking around Sacramento or being in the area, would you know that the A's played there?
That's a good question, Braden, and you would, because we went down to Old Sac for lunch way before the game.
Right, which I heard I heard that's a kind of a cool place to hang out up there in Sacramento, Old Sac.
Yeah, if you ever go there, go to Fanny Ann's Saloon, best cheeseburger in California.
Sounds good. So how was the vibe anyway?
It was good. There was like Sacramento A's everywhere, T-shirts, bumper stickers, signs all over downtown. They fully embraced it. But one thing that was kind of weird, there's some guys, they'd be like chanting, "Let's go Oakland, let's go," and they, kind of making light of it,
Right. I can see that. Well, Mike, I appreciate the phone call. Very informative. Got, some boots on the ground for us up there in Sacramento.
Okay, Braden, have a good one. Go Padres today.
You too, Mike. Yes, go Padres. It was good. It was a little different perspective than what George had. Obviously, a guy that has been there before, so I didn't mind that. I honestly want to see how this plays out with the city of Sacramento. I mean, if you're Sacramento, you're on board with this because you know that the plans in Vegas might fall through, and you might get yourself if you play your cards right, might get yourself an MLB team. But you got to be able to go out there and support what you have in front. But again, it's the ownership. It's all of these ownerships that we have experience with here in San Diego from the former NFL team that was here, ruining it for a lot of fans in a lot of areas. I mean, the overhype of the stadium up there, and all of a sudden, Fisher's starting to spend money now that the team's out of there, and I'm sure they'll wear their Kelly Green uniforms a lot more now, and they brought the gold jerseys back on the road because that's what the fans wanted, but then they were never going to do it until they moved. I mean, they're just following the playbook, man. Following the Chargers playbook. It's lame. Yeah, how to lose. Yeah, how to lose the fight for LA. This is a fight for Sacramento. How the Kings doing compared to the A's, I guess. Anyway, last day we have to worry about it. I saw like in the chat, our guy Abraham Ochoa, the diehard Denver Broncos fan, also a Padres guy, has his qualms about Manny. We'll put that in the past. He goes, if I was to grade the Padres right now, I'd give it a B plus. B plus. I mean, I guess they do still have the best record in baseball. I know we were negative earlier. We got to point out some of the flaws, and the injuries aren't very good right now, but they still have the best record in baseball. I mean, they're one of the best teams in baseball. They're in first place. I know it's early, and we'll see how today goes. I mean, if they got waxed today, round table tomorrow is going to be rough. I'm sure Ben's going to have the sky is falling questions after a week of everybody celebrating one weekend. They're still in first place. So, come on, Abe. B minus? Yeah, he doesn't. He's Manny hater. We'll see. Maybe Manny hits a couple pumps today, and all of a sudden Abe gets his grade up a little bit. He's a tough grader out there. Tough grader. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. When we come back, we will talk about the Padres and A's Game 3 today. Padres trying to win the rubber match, and then that will do it. We'll bring you up to the EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show. All coming up next on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. baseball games going on already. Wednesday is usually day game day in Major League Baseball. That's why we have all these Thursdays off. A lot of Thursday off days in Major League Baseball. I mentioned it last Wednesday. Was it last Thursday? I think it was last Thursday. Not a single Thursday in April are the Padres playing. They're not playing in any day in May and on Thursday except for one. I was going off my list and Adam covered my screen. In June, I think they got like 2 Thursdays. I think the most Thursdays they play in are like July or August. 8 total Thursday games the rest of the year before the postseason. And then when the postseason schedule comes out, it's not a lot of Thursdays than that either. 8 Thursday games. Hopefully you didn't buy the Thursday-only season ticket package. You'd have been host. I don't think that's the Padres don't do that. They usually rope it in with something else. But yeah, only 8 Thursday games the rest of the year, which means we've already played one, right? And it was opening day. So only 9 Thursdays are the Padres playing this season. You better find something to do tomorrow on a Thursday. And especially, it's a lot more difficult after the Padres win because you're just like, all right, now what do I do? I'm excited for the next game. If the Padres lose, maybe you need a Thursday off to kind of recuperate a little bit. But you got to find something to do. What you can do is at 10 in the morning tomorrow, you can tune into the Padres Roundtable, presented by Roundtable Pizza. Ben comes up with the greatest topics for that all the time. I'm always amazed, actually, at the questions that he comes up with. I mean, a lot of them are very clever. He puts a lot of time in that. For as much as like us as a staff like to bitch to Adam about the roundtable because we just like to give him a hard time, we all enjoy doing it. It's a great time. It's a fun time.
So now you're jumping on this?
No, I enjoy doing it. I think it's fun. I think anytime we could do crossovers with the other shows and you hear the voices from other shows on other shows, I think it's great. You know, having it, I think a lot of fans like that too. I remember growing up listening to sports talk radio in San Diego, and I thought it was the coolest thing when hosts from different shows kind of hosted together. It's awesome. It's like when you're a kid and you're watching you're watching a cartoon, and maybe for our audience it's more of a Hanna-Barbera cartoons where you had the classic ones. But when you watched your favorite cartoon and then all of a sudden it started interacting with the other Hanna-Barbera cartoons, and you're like, oh my God, this is like a crossover show. Or for the younger audience or the people around my age, like Jimmy Neutron and like the Fairly Odd Parents clash, that was like must-watch TV. It's the same thing to be said about our radio shows when we combine them. J-Mac, make me feel old talking about this. What was your favorite cartoon then? Yeah, Avengers, exactly, Ray. I mean, there's a lot of those that are out there. Like I remember some of those used to be like, the Hanna-Barbera cartoons were the ones that like were on Boomerang for my generation, which is like the classic cartoons that like my parents grew up watching. And I remember a couple times they'd come home and be like, what do you watch? You're watching. What is it? I was trying to think of some of the names. I remember like the alias of one of them was El Kabong. What was the guy's like actual name? The horse, the sheriff horse. I'm blanking on the top of my head, but there was a lot of those particular, the Pink Panther and stuff like that. Tom and Jerry classic. But the Hanna-Barbera ones were, the gorilla, Manila Gorilla was one of the cartoons. The Jetsons, the Flintstones. I mean, those are more the classic ones. But when they would do, since they were the same company, they would always do like these crazy crossovers. But that's how I feel when we do the roundtable. So a little bit of a digression there, but we will have the roundtable tomorrow at 10 in the morning, hour commercial free from 10 to 11, and then I'll take over 11 to 2, and we'll keep you on and keep you going for Padres baseball on an off day. Not a lot of off days out, or not a lot of Thursday games for the Padres, as mentioned before. Only about 9 of them throughout the season. And we've already played one, and that was opening day. Padres return home on Friday. It will be against the dreaded Colorado Rockies, which everybody seems to beat up. But Buddy Black's got our number for some reason. We got to be able to bounce back against the Rockies. And you can cheer on your Padres as they host the Colorado Rockies this coming weekend, April 11th to the 13th. Shake up your Friday night with Cocktail Fest presented by Southwest Airlines. Enjoy live music and drink specials starting at $5 in Gallagher Square from gates open until first pitch. Also, Friday night is Out at the Park in community partnership with San Diego Pride. Come together with the San Diego LGBTQ community for a night of fun and festivities. Secure a theme game package for a ticket and unique Padres hat. Visit padres.com/pride for more information. And then coming up in the next series, that would be the series against the Chicago Cubs, who are already down 1-0 to the Texas Rangers. Get the revenge against the Cubs. That will be the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday series at home. They have the Aloha t-shirts, which we got some. They look pretty nice. The Aloha t-shirts got the Padres SD. It's got the Padres font. It's got the Hawaiian flowers and everything like that. That will be in the city where the palm trees sway. Get your hands on Aloha shirt presented by Motorola. First 40,000 fans in attendance will receive our most floral shirt yet, featuring beautiful orange flowers and the gold Padres logo. Shirts will be distributed on a first-come, first-served basis. First pitch at 6:40. Gates are open to the public 90 minutes prior, so arrive early to secure your giveaway item. There are 5 fan-friendly sizes: youth large, medium, large, XL, and 2X while supplies last. For more info, go to padres.com/giveaways. That will be on one of the games against the Cubs. They didn't say it on the sheet. Quick Draw McGraw, Ruggie. That's who it was. Quick Draw. That was a funny show, too. I actually have a Space Jam. I might have to wear it one of these days. I have a Space Jam jersey, like a basketball one, Toon Squad. Wile E. Coyote on the back. Number 13, Wile E. Coyote Toon Squad jersey. I owned. I don't know how many times I've physically worn that, but I do have one of those. Wile E. Coyote's hilarious. I'm totally in on the Roadrunner and Wile E. Coyote. Padres game will start at about 12:35 Pacific time today. Ecowater SoCal Padres pregame show is coming up next with Sam Levitt. Padres and A's today. Padres trying to get a 500 road trip with a win today. It'll be Randy Vasquez on the hill. Arise bats leadoff on his birthday, followed by Bogarts, Machado, Sheets, Gonzalez, Iglesias, Hayward, Lockridge, and Maldonado. That'll do it for me. I will see you guys on the round table tomorrow at 10 in the morning, followed by the Braden Surprenant show. Packed show talking Padres baseball. Padres Grit Squad out today with their lineup. We'll see what they got against the A's, and we'll talk to you tomorrow on Braden Surprenant. We'll talk to you tomorrow. See you.